Hey guys, Luke here back on Sean's channel. Today I'm very excited because I'm bringing you guys the brand new structure deck. This is the Chronicles Deck, the Fallen and the Virtuous all foil edition structure deck. This is a very good product. I actually think this is probably going to be one of the products of the years, if not the product of the year. We haven't had a structure deck since the Blue Eyes structure deck, which of course was another fantastic structure deck. So it really does feel like that the most desired products that we're getting nowadays in Yu-Gi-Oh! Are the structure decks. This of course is the branded structure deck, new and improved. It pretty much has all the cards you need for branded, which I really like. We have some fantastic reprints in here. We nearly have a full extra deck. I'm genuinely just really excited to get into these. What we're going to do is we got 3 of them here. We're going to open one, see what kind of cards you get inside. Then we're going to open the following 2 and see what kind of competitive deck that you can build using only the 3 structure decks. So without further ado, let's just get into it. Let's open up this structure deck. I think the structure deck's been like the best products we've been getting so far. Oh, we actually seem to have a promo here. Oh cool, fusion deployments. This must be very similar to what Blue Eyes did before, as in you will also get a rarity upgraded card. So we got a rarity upgrade of fusion deployment, which is a ultra rare in this, but we have a secret rare version here as a promo, which is very cool. We get a mat as well. Just a very nice mat. Honestly, I think this would be a really nice rubber mat. Of course, it's a structure deck, so we get the paper version of it. And now let's see what we get in terms of the cards itself. Oh, hey, they kind of got rid of the plastic wrapping and has more kind of like a papery sort of one, which is very good, very environmentally friendly. I really appreciate that. So well done, Konami. Another W you guys can claim. Now, let's see what we got. So Fallen of Albaz, of course, fantastic card. This is going to be an integral part of the strategy. Incredible Ecclesia. Honestly, this is just really nice that all of these cards are going to be foil. I think it's definitely a really good idea and a good step in the right direction. So Incredible Ecclesia, it's pretty cool to see here. We have Aluber, very nice to see. We haven't had a Aluber reprint in a while. Blazing Cartesia, fantastic card, very integral to the strategy, especially since we're going to be putting this with fusion deployment as well. It's fantastic that we get an Ecclesia. Albion is great. I think this might actually be the highest rarity of Albion because I think it was first printed as a common, so it's great that people who already run Albion are going to have a little rarity upgrade. Quem is fantastic. We haven't had a proper reprint of Quem, so this card was still kind of like expensive even after the tins reprint because it was still printed as a secret rare. It's great to see that. Springans Kitt, nice to see too. Mercourier, also great. Despian Tragedy, fantastic card as well. Another rarity upgrade because this was first a common. The Bystial Lubellion, this is fantastic to see. We get a few Bystial cards in this, so it's definitely going to bring the price of all those Bystials down. But honestly, you get pretty much all that you'd want in the structure deck itself, because not only do you get the Bystial Lubellion, you also get a Magnamhut, you get a Saronir, and you get a Druiswurm, which is fantastic. Druiswurm was recently hit on the ban list to be limited, but it was still kind of like a pricey enough card, so it's really great that we actually get a reprint of it now. Very easy to get. Now, Dogmatika Ecclesia the Virtuous. This is a new alt art that we're getting of Ecclesia. This is taken directly from the actual anime itself. It's pretty much like a screenshot from the anime, which I still think is pretty cool. It's definitely nice to see. I do personally prefer the original art, but the alt art is still very nice to see right there as well. And speaking of alt arts, here's another one. We got Fleurdelis, the Knighted. It's actually very cool that we kind of get to see more of Fleurdelis without her helmet, so that's a nice alt art to see. Maximus is a great reprint in here. This is fantastic. Maybe Sean might bring back his Blue Eyes Chaos Max deck, you never know. Nibiru, this is pretty much the only hand trap I think we get in this deck, so Nibiru is a nice one to see, don't get me wrong. But if we are putting only the 3 structure decks together, then I think Nibiru is going to be the only hand trap, which is fine, don't worry. We can still definitely make good with that. Keeper of Dragon Magic, yep, we are dropping that. That's no point playing Keeper of Dragon Magic. But the Fallen and the Virtuous, this is a brand new card and it's a very good card as well. It's always treated as a branded and a Dogmatika card. You can search it off of either of your engines. It has 2 different effects, but you can only use one or the other. Either the first one, send one monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz from your Ecclesia deck to the graveyard, then you can retire one face-up card in the field and destroy it. Fantastic. Pretty much all of our fusion monsters in the graveyard I've mentioned, Fallen of Albaz, have some great effects when they hit the graveyard, so this is just really great that we're able to get those effects pop off while also getting a pop. But also has the other effect that if you have an Ecclesia monster in your field or graveyard, you can target one monster in either graveyard and special summon to your field. So just a fantastic card. I definitely see us probably, if not maximizing this, we'll definitely find it for somewhere in the deck. It is actually very, very good. Brand of Fusion, you know what, I even mentioned this to Sean. We got an emergency ban list yesterday as a time of this recording, and I was just saying to Sean, you think they would have given us back the 3 copies of Brand of Fusion for the emergency ban list and also in celebration of this release? But no, it's still limited to 2, but honestly I can really see this going back to 3 very, very soon, so it's nice that we get it in here. Branded in white, pretty much just a miracle fusion for the deck, nice to see. Branded in red, great, this gets a rarity upgrade because this was really printed as a rare, so it's nice to see that. Branded opening, fantastic cards, go away for get out or Aluber. Branded in high spirits, another great card. Branded lost, not sent for a deck, but still nice to see, and we always try to play it at least 1. Branded regrain, definitely great, especially with the Bystials in this deck, it's nice to see. Nadir Servant is great, it's not really a chase card anymore because it was printed many different times in the rarity collection, but still nice for us to get it in here. Branded Bond is cool to see. Fusion Deployment, which we have a secret rare version of in this box, so it's always good to see that. I really like this. This is an alt art as well, and this is a beautiful alt art. Honestly, I kind of prefer this art as opposed to the original one just because I think it's a really, really cool. Triple Tactics Thrust, fantastic that everyone's able to have access to this now. Such a good card. We have Shrouded and the other Tri-Brigades on the cover of it right there. Very, very nice to see. Foolish Burial, always nice to have a blinged out Foolish Burial. Gold Sarc, pretty common card to come across now. And Super Polymerization, fantastic. I don't think it really goes well with just the 3 structure decks that we're going to be showcasing right now. Just because we don't really have any great targets off of it unless we have a Fallen of Albaz face on the field. Then we can Super Poly using one of our opponent's monsters. But this structure deck doesn't come with the generic Super Poly targets. So don't get me wrong, it's a great reprint to see, but you will need to be buying some extra cards just to make use of Super Poly at the full potential. But still, always good to see. Branded Retribution, first trap card we see, very nice. Branded Banishment, Branded Sword, Branded Beast, and the Black Goat Laughs. This is fantastic to see. Finally reprinted. This is going to be cheap enough. Not sure if we're necessarily going to be playing it in this deck, but I'm definitely going to be throwing a copy of this into my Sky Striker build, so that's really, really good to see. Dogmatika Punishment, I haven't fully decided if I'm going to take this deck in the direction of having it as a Dogmatika build along with the branded stuff, but we might, so we'll see if we're going to be playing it. Fusion Duplication, we'll definitely be playing a copy of this, most just because Brand of Fusion is currently semi-limited, so it's just a good way to kind of get an extra copy of Brand of Fusion, we'll say. New card, the Dragon that Devours the Dogma. This will be interesting to see how this goes competitively, but I think it's a pretty cool card. I definitely see this is going to be used quite a lot. Mirror Jade, classic. Of course we're going to be playing him. Albion, the Branded Dragon. Of course, have to play it, and Lubellion. Obviously, these are essential. Alba, Lunatus, the Abyss Dragon. Pretty cool to see. What I like about this is that to go into them, you need Fallen of Albaz and 1+ dragon monsters on the field. And you can actually fuse some of this by sending the above cards from any monster zones to the graveyard. So it's a nice way if your opponent's playing a dragon deck, such as like Dracotail or something like that. You can pretty much just contact fuse their board away using Fallen of Albaz and this card, which I think is really, really funny. Titanclad, we will probably be playing this, especially if we're going down Dogmatika route. It is very, very good. Brigand the Glory Dragon, of course, probably playing it. Iron Dash as well. Rindbrum, another great card. And finally, I always mispronounce this, but Grand Guigno is another great card that we're going to be playing, of course, because this deck obviously comes with Blazing Cartesia, which we were able to bring out with the Fusion deployment. So yeah, let's just open 3 of these now. We'll see what kind of deck we can make using only 3 structure decks. Okay, I put together a 50 card deck with a full extra deck, and this is pretty much what you can get using the 3 structure decks. I think it's pretty cool. I decided to kind of go down the route and actually make this the deck that the structure deck tended to be, where it's a nice mix of branded stuff and Dogmatika stuff. I did decide to add the Dogmatika stuff into it. You can absolutely take it out if you want, but this is just the way I kind of want to play it, just because I think it's a lot more fun and it adds a little bit of spice to the deck too. I won't go into too much detail because I will say this deck is lacking some stuff that does make branded really, really good. It is missing some of the extra deck cards that you do really, really need, especially when it comes to the likes of the Super Poly targets. I cut out Super Poly altogether because I don't think the targets are good enough. But maybe In the future, I will do an actual competitive sort of branded deck, but for the time being, this is what I'm rolling with, using only 3 of the structure decks. First off, I do want to show off the other cards I got from the other 2 structure decks. These are 2 promos we got. So we got 3 secrets right here. We have Fusion Deployment, which I already seen. I also pulled a Ecclesia and a Dragon that Devours a Dogma. Just in case you guys wanted to see what the other 2 secret rares I pulled as the promos were, these are them. Now let's get into the deck. I run 3 copies of Fallen of Albaz. Most branded builds are going down the route of being a pile deck, so they always maximize their copies of Fallen of Albaz. I completely agree with that, so that's why I run it at 3 copies in this deck. I also run 3 copies of Aluber, the Jester of Despia, just because Aluber is really great that when it is normal or special summoned, you're able to add a branded spell trap. So it's a nice way for us to get to our branded fusion as quickly as possible. Not only is it good because it's able to bring that to our hand off of its normal summon, but it's also off the special summon, so we're able to special summon Aluber with the branded opening that we run in this deck also. For consistency and digging deeper into the deck, I decided to run 3 copies of Albion. I think this is pretty standard in all branded builds anyways, so I definitely wanted to utilize it here also. 3 copies of Albion I think is definitely really good. I decided to go with only 2 copies of Blazing Cartesia, most just because we also run 3 copies of Fusion Deployment in this deck, so I didn't think it was all that necessary to be running 3 copies of Cartesia, because the Fusion Deployment is going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting for bringing her out anyways. So I decided just to go with 2 myself, and also 2 copies of Quem. Quem is quite a new card to me, so I don't know what the ideal ratio is to be playing her at, but I think 2 is probably a nice in between, so I decided to just go with 2. This deck has plenty of room, so I didn't want to be cutting her down to 1 in case we do really need to search for her. So I think this is the ideal ratio. But the one of cards I do run is 1 copy of Tragedy, 1 copy of Mercourier, and 1 copy of Kitt. These are all fine to run at 1 copy each. Don't get me wrong, they're good cards, but they're not necessarily the combo starters except for Tragedy. But Tragedy only really gets its effect when it's sent to the graveyard or banished. And although I don't run Foolish Burial in this build, I do run the Gold Sarcophagus, so that's the one way that we are able to get Tragedy's effect to pop off. Going into the Bystials now, I only run 1 copy of the Bystial Lubellion, 1 copy of Magnamhut of course because it's limited, 1 copy of Druiswurm because it's limited also, and then I run the 2 copies of Saronir. I've seen in a few other builds people will maximize Saronir and don't even bother running Druiswurm or Magnamhut, which I think is kind of crazy, not gonna lie. I just think the Bystials are a lot more important now, especially since this deck came out, because everyone's going to have access to them and everyone's going to be playing branded again. So I do think you kind of want to add a bunch of Bystials to it. The reason why I'm not maximizing entirely with Bystials is because this is a 55 card deck and I wanted to run some Dogmatika stuff as well. So I decided that this is going to be my Bystial package going forward. Going into Dogmatika stuff, I run 3 copies of Ecclesia. I run 1 Fleurdelis and 1 Maximus. Pretty standard ratio for Dogmatika anyways. But again, this is only up to yourself if you want to play the Dogmatika stuff. If you don't, that's also completely fine. I kind of just wanted to play this deck as it is designed, as in a nice balance of Dogmatika and branded. So I decided to put them in. But you guys completely don't have to if you don't want to. The 1 hand trap in this deck, we run 3 copies of Nibiru. I think Nibiru is here most just because it's a hand trap with an attribute that complements the deck. Of course, Nibiru is a light. So not only is it good as a hand trap, but also we can utilize it as fusion material if we ever need to. Going on to the spells now, I run 3 copies of the Fallen The Virtuous. This is a brand new card with this deck, so we've yet to see what the best ratio is to be running this card. But I just at face value think that this is very powerful, so I decided to maximize it out, but this is definitely subject to change when I get a bit more experience with this card. Of course, we can only run 2 copies of Branded Fusion because obviously it is semi-limited. If we could run it at 3, we would run it at 3. But then with some other fusion cards we have, we run 1 copy of Branded in red and 1 copy of Branded in white. I think this is the ideal ratio for your fusion cards. 3 copies of Branded Opening. This of course brings out our Aluber, which then lets us search our Branded Fusion. So opening I think is definitely important if you're running at 3 copies. Then a bunch of 1-ofs. I only run 1 copy of Branded in High Spirits. Don't get me wrong, it is pretty good, but I think 1 is pretty much all you need. We have so many different ways to get Fallen of Albaz in this deck now that I don't think it's overly necessary to be running more than 1 copy of it. 1 Branded lost just so it's hard for our opponent to interact with us, and 1 Branded regained because we have a heavy Bystial package. So regained is of course a very good card for us to get some advantage off of that. Triple Nadir Servant. Again, this is for the Dogmatika stuff. If you want to play it, do. If you don't, then don't. It really doesn't matter. Play the deck wherever you want. This is just a skeleton bones of a way that you can play the deck, and this is my preferred method to play it. Triple Fusion deployment. I absolutely love this card, especially with the new alt art. I think this is definitely really nice to see. It goes well with our Blazing Cartesia, but also great with our Fallen of Albaz. I think it is really fantastic. And it's a really nice target to run alongside our triple tactics thrusts that we run at 3 of in this deck. Thrust is such a good card. I'm really happy that we have it as an easy access now with this structure deck, so I wanted to maximize my copies out. Rounding off the spells, 1 copy of Gold Sarcophagus. We mostly just use this for tragedy, but it can be good for digging deeper into the deck if needs be. Then rounding off the deck with the traps, 1 copy of Fusion Duplication, 1 copy of Dogmatika Punishment, and 1 copy of Retribution. Retribution, I think, is the only essential card that you want to be running in terms of the traps in this deck. Duplication is very good because it's a nice way for us to have an extra branded fusion in the deck as well. And Dogmatika Punishment is pretty good. Again, if you don't want to play the Dogmatika stuff, then just don't. We'll go on to the extra deck now. Going into the extra deck now, run 2 copies of the Dragon that Devours the Dogma. Pretty good card, pretty hard to get into, I think, but it has a nice advantage if it is sent to the graveyard. So I think it's definitely a really nice all-rounder. But I still think that the main boss monster of Branded will always be Mirror Jade. Mirror Jade is just really powerful, so I decided to run her at 2. We also run Albion at 2, because its effective Miracle Fusion is a really easy way for us to get into Mirror Jade. And I also run Lubellion at 2 as well, because obviously it's a staple for the main branded combo. I know generally in most branded builds you'll see Lubellion only played at 1, but obviously this is going to change when we add more cards to it in a future video. But for the time being, I think 2 copies is pretty good. I also run 2 copies of Dusk Dragon. You will probably only be running this at 1 copy if you wanted to cut out the Dogmatika stuff, but since I decided to play the Dogmatika stuff, I think 2 copies is a better ratio. Just because it has a very crazy effect that you're able to banish this card from your field or graveyard to special summon a Dogmatika monster from your deck, which I think is a really cool way to get out some of your stuff like Fleurdelis or even Ecclesia. So this is what I would play as my ratio, but you can do whatever the hell you want. Again, this is all completely up to you. And we're going to round off the final 5 cards of the extra deck with just the 1-ofs, 1 Titanclad, 1 Rindbrum, 1 Alba, 1 Brigand, and 1 Arndash. Again, you can switch this out whichever way you want, but this is the way I like to play it, so this is the ratio that I'm playing it at. Now, that about does it for the deck. What do you guys think of the new structure deck? I actually think it's really good. I think this might actually be the product of the year. I really like the fact that you get pretty much every card you need to play Branded. Also, at a high rarity as well, I think it's just a fantastic idea by Konami. So I personally really like it. What way would you guys play the deck differently? Would you play the Dogmatika stuff, or are you going to take it out altogether? I personally like the Dogmatika stuff, and if you do too, I think this build I showed you is a good way to utilize both engines. But you guys should definitely let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you guys are interested in buying this product or any other singles, please be sure to use the affiliate links down in the description below, because if you use those affiliate links, it helps directly support myself and Sean out to keep bringing you guys these videos. Another way you guys can help support us is if you can consider becoming a channel member. We want to give a big shout out to our members: Jojo TCGs, John Cran, Americ Humbert, Johnny, and Dragon's God 679. We really appreciate your continued support. You really don't go unnoticed, so myself and Sean really do want to thank you guys for that. But for the rest of you guys, if you could just like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment, it all really helps us out in the long run. But for now, until next time, we'll see you then.